Guys, I'm just about to do my intro and outro, and I want you here for it. So, are you ready? Oh my god, so exciting! Hey girl, welcome to the What a Mouthful podcast. I'm your host, Dee. I'm a qualified nutritionist, personal trainer, mindset speaker, and my favorite of all, I'm a mum. Living your best life doesn't have to be a grind, and I'm going to show you how to achieve a healthy mind and body. And if this episode speaks to you, give a sister a 5-star review. So impromptu decision, but I decided today that I would vlog. Maybe not the whole day because it's meant to be like torrential rain here in Sydney. So like, I don't know if I'll be able to like walk around with my camera, but today I am filming my very first podcast episode. See, even Charlie's excited about it. You can hear him in the background with these little paws that wake me up every single night. Anyway, I'm so excited. I'm about to brew myself like a giant de-stress tea. This is what I do when I have like a really big day. Because even though like, I wouldn't say I'm nervous, like I feel like there's a lot of pressure on me. Like Sarah and Kurt are like my producers. Like, so it's a big deal. I don't really want to fuck this up. But, you know, I feel like I've got all these like, excited like vibes running through me, so like I just want to make this chef's kiss amazing. And yeah, I just feel like a little bit like, you know, like I'm buzzed. This morning I'm buzzed, so I'm like, okay, got lots to do. Like, you know, when you like amp yourself up for a big day, that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm amping myself up. I feel like a little bit shaky, so this is like, don't feel sorry for me. It's not like I'm like super nervous. It's just like, I feel like the pressure, and I feel like I just want to do a really great job. It usually means too that I'm like out of my comfort zone, which I love. Like, I love that about my life. I want to be outside of my comfort zone. I want to push myself. So today I'm very excited because today is the very first episode of my podcast, What a Mouthful. I just can't. Okay. Truth be told, I actually did start a podcast once. I just sort of like let it slide. I was like, wow, actually like doing a podcast is like a lot of work. And I just thought it was like pretty easy. I just thought like, you know, you just like record and then it's sweet and then it's done. No, it's like way more intense than that, way more involved. So I'm so excited to say that I actually have producers, which allows me to go from 0 to 100, to have really high quality people that I'm interviewing, to, you know, really just like be able to focus on the stuff that I'm good at and not worry and stress about acquiring more skills. Because anybody who is a business owner will understand just how difficult that is. Every time you want to do something new, it's like you have to be a specialist in the next big thing. So this is very much a part of my pregnancy prep journey, because my aim for myself is to be able to just focus on the podcast and to have flow fit humming smoothly in the background. Like, I'm always there in the Facebook group, I'm always answering like the Q&As, but I've already done all the work for it. It was like a year in the making, like actually a year in the making. And it will continue to be work because metabolic maintenance is now like, when you're finished with the actual program itself, you can graduate to the metabolic maintenance subscription service. And so every single week I release new meal plans, and then every 8 weeks I release new training programs. So every time I do a training program, I have to refilm that. And obviously every single week we're working on the nutrition plans. So, you know, there's still like a little bit of work, but it's kind of like, I know what to expect with that. So I feel like that is very doable, because when I feel pregnant, I don't know if I'm going to be as sick as I was when I was pregnant with Billy. I was sick every single day, to the point Gus said to me as soon as I had Billy, like I'm lying there on the table, like just pushed Billy out. And he looked at me and he's like, wow, you look like you've got the life back in you. Because I was so pale, because I was so sick the whole time. So it's like it's just pretty funny, because I just think to myself, oh my gosh, I hope I'm not that sick again this whole next time when eventually I fall pregnant. And I think March is the month. I think so. Yeah, I really want to be mentally ready before I just dive in. And I feel like we have purposely not been trying just yet, because I really, like, I've been working on being physically ready, and I do feel like I'm physically ready now. I do, like, I really do. And now it's just a matter of getting like mentally ready. And you guys would have seen my last or one of my last YouTube videos where I spoke about, like my wealth mindset and like kind of things that are holding me back and making me a little bit like scared to fall pregnant. The flow of my businesses is one of those things. Like, if you've been pregnant before and you've been a business owner, you're like, it's like your business is like, because that was like my sound effect for brakes, because, then all of a sudden you start like looking after this baby and it's like your whole world, and then you forget about everything else. You're like in this little happy bubble and you're just so like, you're in this dreamland, and you're also sleep deprived. And then you're like, oh man, like all that momentum that I had built up, I just kind of lost, and I'm going to have to build it back up again. And you're already tired as it is to start off with, because you're like physically drained and emotionally drained. And especially if you have more than one kid. Anyway, you get my gist. So, there is a little bit of like, this time I am so determined for it to be like, I want it to be consistent. I don't want it to feel like I have to start all over again. So I want to, like, the podcast is going to provide that for me. I'm going to be able to just be consistent and just keep going and like maintain what I've already built, as opposed to like having to rebuild. So I'm super excited. And my first guest is Sarah. Stay tuned. Okay, so, hello. I sat down with Sarah. We did an awesome podcast. Like, it was so awesome. I'm still high vibing. I know if you're a creator or an influencer or like just like along the lines of any of that sort of stuff, the questions I asked her were questions that like I've always wanted to know. Like, this is stuff that she doesn't share that much of in terms of like vlogging and stuff like that on her Instagram. But this is what I want to know. This is all the stuff that I'm so intrigued by. So I feel like you are going to love that episode. Like, I loved that episode. I had a freaking great time filming it. And yeah, just like, it was just beautiful flow. It was amazing energy. It was just really good. And so I highly recommend when it comes out, or if it's out by now, because I actually don't know when I'll be able to upload this vlog, that you listen to it. Because I know, like, if you're like me, you will love it. So now I'm actually parked at Broadway Shopping Centre because I have to go head up to King's Beats Fitness, and I'm doing a podcast with a friend of mine, and he's got this like amazing cool podcast in this awesome gym. I think it was like rated like number 1 by the Iconic. If you're in Australia, that will make sense to you. If you're not, probably won't. And I'm pumped. It's going to be great. And I feel like I'm on such a high vibe from that awesome podcast. That was like the first one. We had to pre-record it because she's about to like pop literally any second. Like, I saw her, she turned to the side. I was like, oh my God, you are so pregnant. So she could like really go any day, like any day at all. I'm just so glad we got that done before she popped. Like, today's like a cool day. You got me on a cool day. This is not every day, but it's a cool day. And it's going to hopefully be a lot more like this in the future, because hopefully I'll be doing like a lot more podcasts and I'll be interviewing some very cool people, which is the reason that I love the fact that Sarah and Kurt are producing the podcast. Like, I mean, if that doesn't like say quality to you, I don't know what will. And I think one thing that I was always kind of like a bit worried about was I was like, oh, if I interview people and I have them on my podcast, like, are they going to be like high caliber people? Like, of course the people in my life I think are beautiful and are high quality and just good vibes. But in terms of like a listener experience, like, do they want to hear from my mom and then my dad and then my sister? Like, and does it all align with what my topics are anyway, or what I really want to talk about with my podcast? So I cannot wait. Oh, I cannot wait. And this is going to be so great. And I honestly, I can't wait to share this whole journey with you. Like, I feel like I'm a person who, like, I had my kid first and now I'm like embarking on my career. And even though I want to have a second child, I feel as though, like, I don't know, I just feel like the timing is much better this time to like really focus on business and like just push things to the next level, but also at the same time have them like kind of tracking along. Like, I don't want to start anything new during the pregnancy. I just want consistency.
and I just want to know what I need to do. And like, sure, exciting things will happen. I'm not going to say no to them just because I'm pregnant, but I need to level my expectations knowing how sick I was in the past. So what I can do is I can talk. And because we're not like filming it as well yet, we can also, like, I can just look like crap and be pregnant and just do the podcast. So I think that's a win-win. Anyway, I'm rambling. I'm going to head up to go see my friend Ryan now, and I will share with you a little bit of the vibe. What a great day today is. Bye.
But this episode is for you if you've ever struggled with confidence, if you've ever had a moment where you don't have that enoughness, you know, that not enoughness, that I'm not pretty enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not fit enough, I'm not whatever enough, or imposter syndrome has hit you like a ton of bricks.
Belief in or faith in yourself to do something. So belief or faith in yourself to do something. A lot of women, they label themselves as just, I am confident or I'm not confident. There's like two ends of the scale and you're either one or the other. You are confident or you're not at all. And I think that's really dangerous because what it fails to recognize is that confidence is a wave and it ebbs and flows, and you'll have days where you feel absolutely red hot fire and then days where you just don't at all. That doesn't mean that you're not a confident woman. It just means you're going through a day where it's lapsed.
And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next week on What a Mouthful podcast. Do you know how amazing it feels to know that I have my own podcast? This is like, you know what is actually so cool is that I've been in like a little bit of a zone of like, I really want to try to like just go on a bit of a, you know, like a nerd out, like a geek out, where I don't know, sometimes I go through these phases in my life where I just want to learn lots of information, and I just like, I get into these like research modes, and these periods can sometimes last for like a year. And so I feel like I've done a lot of like business building over the last year. And so I'm very much like, okay, I've done that business building. I've applied a lot of principles that I've learned. I've made the courses. Now I'm ready to study again. So I love the fact that for these podcasts, I've been doing lots of studies. I've been trying to bring a lot of science into them so that people can, you know, really understand that what I'm saying is actually based in science, and just help them, I guess, you know, build confidence and trust. So I've absolutely loved doing this so far. I look forward to doing this all throughout my pregnancy because it suits me so much being in this whole like research zone. And yeah, I hope you guys have a listen to the What a Mouthful podcast. I hope you love it. And of course, if you have any questions, just hit me up on Instagram at @dzabara, and I'll be able to answer any questions that you have. I also answer questions on the podcast. So I'll give you a shout out, first name and where you're from in the world, and then I'll answer your questions. And then sometimes I'll have my guests help me answer your questions too. So if there's also anyone you want me to interview, let me know. And then on top of that, if you want me to interview anyone and you want me to ask your specific question to this person, let me know.
So while I'm sitting here doing my work, and honestly, I'm procrastinating a little bit. I'm working on my podcast logo and things like, I don't need to be doing this. Like, my whole production team has this under control. But here I am on Canva like, ooh, what about if we do this? Anyway, you know, I'm not a creative, but literally I love Canva. So I'm just having a little bit of fun with that. But I'm also listening to Welcome to the Womb. And this is M's podcast. So she's at midwife_M on Instagram. And her episode 3 is like what happens in labor. And honestly, I used to think that knowing too much created too much expectation. But I think it depends on where you get your advice from, because honestly, I'm listening to this episode right now and I've stopped what I'm doing to not to procrastinate work or to procrastinate vlog, but to actually share with you like how much confidence it's actually given me. In like, she spent like 20 minutes talking and it's actually changed my perception and I guess my confidence in myself to be able to birth, because to be honest, I'm scared to birth. I feel like in 9 months, I will have pulled the right people around me and have received the right advice that I feel comfortable and confident. But I feel like last time I was just so, you know, I was like at the mercy of whatever anybody told me. I would just listen to what they said. But I regret doing that. I personally regret doing that. Like, my specific experience was quite disappointing in many ways, not in all ways, but in many ways. And I didn't feel respected. That's not really the right word. I just didn't feel heard or seen, or I don't know, maybe it just felt like just another birth. And I get that midwives are midwives because they love what they do. But like, hey, if you're birthing like 400 children a week, like, you know, I guess a couple are going to slip through the cracks, and that is totally understandable. You know, I get that. But just listening to Em talk about, basically what she said was, if you're ready to push, like, trust your body and just push. And I literally forgot about it until this very minute. But when I was starting to push with Billy, I was told to stop pushing. And then I was scared to push. And then I was in labor for 24 hours altogether. And I just wonder, who knows? You know, maybe it would have been great. Maybe it wouldn't have. Maybe it would have been the very thing that changed my whole experience. Maybe not. But had someone said to me, Dee, your body is pushing, just go with it. Trust your body. Even if it didn't mean that Billy had come out at that very second, I wonder how differently my whole experience would have been because of how I felt, because somebody told me to trust my body and gave me permission to trust my body, you know? I know that sort of sounds silly. And I guess only if you've ever had a baby before would you really understand what that means. But yeah, I just think, I literally just like posted a story and just said, you know, like, thank you, Em, for sharing this. Like, I think it's important for people to, if you're touched, if you feel like you resonate with something, to share it. And I hope that people will do that for my podcast. I hope that if you listen to my podcast or you listen to any episodes, that you would do that too. But yeah, it was just like, it just makes me really think, you know, and does give me a lot of hope that baby number 2, whenever that is, that I'm just going to be like, fuck what anyone else thinks. Like, I know my body. I've spoken to enough people to know that I should trust my body. Enough people who are experts in the space to know to trust my body, and that if that's what my body's ready for, to just go with that. And I don't know, it makes me kind of, dare I say, look forward to my next birth.
It's just going to say yes or no.
Oh, yes, ma'am, yes.
But what if it says no? Oh, God. Oh, it says no. Not yet. So to be honest, I'm confused. Like, what does that mean? It says no. Obviously, I just showed you before. It says no, but like... So I know that this cycle, I definitely didn't ovulate when I thought I ovulated. And I felt like maybe it was like a week push back, a week delayed. In which case, because I'm like 38 days on my tracker, maybe, like if I add a week, sometimes my period's like 31, 32 days. So I don't know, maybe I'll get my period tomorrow. Or maybe this is wrong. It's hard to say. Anyway, I will keep you updated. I only have one test left now. And I was going to wait a couple more weeks until I like definitely didn't get my period, but like the suspense was killing me. And I kind of wanted to know, because the second I fall pregnant, I have to tell my midwife, or the midwife that I want, because I really want her to be my midwife, because I think I'm going to get a private midwife. Anywho, maybe I need to flesh out some more decisions, and maybe the universe is saying, be a bit more prepared so that when you get the yes result, you're like, fuck yeah, you know? I just was like, I want to debrief how I was feeling. I mean, I'm kind of like, more confused than I am like disappointed. Yeah, I'm like, is that Well, we'll just have to wait and see. Maybe I was just a little bit too eager.